Welcome to episode 20 of my pregnancy series. I'm going to now talk more about postpartum. Okay, so when we got home, apart from the breastfeeding wahala that happened, what else happens during the postpartum? Postpartum is a very big topic because there's so many different sessions that comes under postpartum. And the postpartum stage is the 4th trimester, which normally most people don't talk too much about it. And I think that it's even the most difficult part of the whole journey of pregnancy and childbirth. Maybe the reason why people don't talk too much about it is that it can make you very, very vulnerable. If you're a first-time mom especially, it might come as a shock to your bones. And so it's not surprising that, people give birth and for some time they literally go quiet. You don't hear so much about them. And it's because there's a lot that goes on in that first 3 months of delivery. My first child, it was an emergency cesarean section. After I delivered, I was in the hospital for 3 days because my pulse was very high and they needed everything to settle before I come back home. When you deliver, for the first few hours, especially when you've had cesarean section, the numbness has kicked in. From this part downwards, I couldn't feel anything. Whilst I was waiting for me to start feeling my legs and being able to walk, there was a lady that came around. She was assigned to me. She was the support worker. Before they did the cesarean section, they had to put a catheter on to make sure that literally I'm going to wee through the catheter. She came and then emptied the wee, and she asked me if I was okay, if I can stand. I stood and I realized, okay, I can actually move a little. I'm not feeling that numbed anymore. So she helped me to the bathroom. Most of the things she did for me. So I bathed. And then when I came to my bed, luckily for me, baby did her first poo-poo. And trust me, if that woman was not around, oh my God, I would have been all over. I wouldn't have known what to do. So JL poo-poo, and the poo-poo, their first poo-poo is very dark. Okay, it's this shiny, dark, it's like jelly-like, substance. And it was so plenty. She poo-poo plenty. I was like, I was trying to wipe the thing and it kept coming. I was like, oh my God. So the lady just said, okay, don't worry, sit down. Then she took over and then she helped her wipe everything. And then I gave her JL's clothing, what she needs to wear. And then she literally dressed her for me. So she gave her to me. I sat down. I was trying to, still make sure my body is ready for breastfeeding. So they moved us to the ward. So the 3 came, my pulse had gone down. So we were discharged. And then when we were discharged in the UK, from the hospital that I was, once you are discharged, the next day, your midwife will visit you. So that was a very good thing. We got home. Remember, I had my cesarean wounds. I still had my catheter on because I couldn't wee. Before they discharge you, one of the things that they have to also look at is if you can poo-poo, if you can wee. So for that 3 days, whilst I was in the hospital, I couldn't poo-poo. I couldn't wee on my own. So with the poo-poo, eventually they will tell you that it will kick in. But for the wee, they need to put a catheter. I don't know how to explain it. If you're a scientist, you are watching me, or you are a nurse or midwife or support worker, you can, type it in the comment, what is a catheter, to help people. It's like a plastic device that they connect to your bladder, they connect to your urethra, or they literally insert it in your vagina. I don't know how they do it. They connect it to your bladder, so that when you feel like you are pressed, your bladder is full, you want to wee, they will show you how to open it. They've got a knob where you can open and close. So literally, when you are ready to wee, when you feel like weeing, you literally go to the toilet and then you open it and the urine will start flowing. And that's how you empty your bladder. After that, you close it back again, and then it's hanging. So the tube is hanging from your vagina. It's hanging. So literally, you have to find a way. You have to wear something that is comfortable, that you can really carry it around, literally. And I came back home with that thing. It helps to retrain your bladder, because there's been a lot of pressure on your bladder. You know, the bladder in the vagina, in the womb, the reproductive system, everything is so close by. So going through the cesarean section, the birth, everything, it affects your bladder. It puts pressure on your bladder. So the catheter literally helps you to retrain your bladder to start learning how to wee again. Apart from the catheter that I brought home, which I needed to keep it on for about a week. About the 5th day, I started feeling like when I'm about to wee, it's as if it's not going through the catheter. So I knew that if I was to remove the catheter, then I can wee, because I felt there was a change. But still, I had to keep it on for a week. So on the 7th day, I went back to the hospital and they took it out. I felt like the place was a little sore, but it didn't take too long and that was healed. With the catheter, it was so uncomfortable, so I have to find a way. Even what to wear became a problem. Obviously, carrying the catheter around was very, very uncomfortable. One thing I noticed is that anytime the baby was very close to me, I would start feeling my womb contracting again, and apparently the womb was still trying to go back to the right place. And then the other weird thing that I noticed when we got home was that I started hearing a lot of baby crying in my ears. So obviously at the hospital, there was a lot of crying of babies. You know, there was a lot of babies crying here and there. So that sound stuck in my subconscious. So when I got home, sometimes baby will be sleeping. I'm in the kitchen or I'm at the hall. I will start hearing the sound, the cry of the baby, and it's so loud. So I will start running, and then my husband is like, "Why?" And then I will say, "I'm going to the bedroom. Baby is crying." And then he will say, "No, baby is not crying. She's asleep." And I'm like, "No. I heard her crying." I will walk there and baby's peacefully sleeping. And this thing happened so many times. Maybe about the first 1 month or even more, this thing was so frequent that sometimes I'll think to myself, am I going crazy? You know, is something happening to me that I need to check it out, or what is it? But the funny thing is, I've heard some women mention this before when I was single. So anytime it happened and I start questioning myself, I remember that, oh, you know, I've heard that story before, you know. So gradually that sound left. I couldn't poo-poo until the 5th day. And trust me, when I did that first poo-poo, oh God, the whole house was on fire. Oh, it was a massive, you know, the first one was a massive poo-poo and the rest were so watery. Everything that was stored in my tummy for the past 5 days was coming out, and the whole house was smelling. I had to spray everywhere, you know. So that's another thing that you gotta deal with in your postpartum. And the other thing was, I was also out of balance. So after the cesarean session, I felt like my stomach muscle or my abdominal muscle, instead of it being in alignment, let's say like this, it was like that. Yeah. So I felt like I was not in sync. So when I'm walking, any little thing, if I trip, I will fall. If you push me little, I will fall. So because of that, the first 6 to 8 weeks, I didn't go anywhere alone. So wherever we go, my husband has to be around, and he will normally either push the buggy or carry the baby, because anything that will touch me little, if I'm not careful, I'm going to fall. So I was out of balance, and that actually lasted for about 4 to 5 months before I felt like my stomach muscles or my abdominal muscle was back in place. And then when I came back, because of the cesarean session, the pain, I have to find a new way of lying down. I couldn't lie on my tummy, which obviously even during the pregnancy, throughout the pregnancy, I couldn't lie on my tummy. Baby is now born and I still couldn't lie on my tummy for a very long time, probably until the out of balance stopped. So even to lie down, I had to just lie down like that, and I had to lie down on my back, and to come out of bed was so difficult. So for about 4 months, I was just lying on my back like that, and it was not easy to lie on my side. If I have to go on my side or come off the bed, I had a style that I have to use to come out of bed, because I was out of balance and I was also feeling the pain. Yeah, and the other thing is, because I had put on so much weight, most of my clothing could no longer fit. I couldn't wear jeans. I think it took me about 10 months before I could go back to wearing jeans. So I had to always wear things that are a little loose or big on me so that I can feel comfortable. Anything that will be too tight on my abdomen was a no-no for me. I couldn't just do it. It was that difficult. And then lifting the baby, obviously baby was also growing and becoming heavy. So you know, when you want to lift something up, you use your core or your abdominal muscles a lot. So all of that also became a challenge. So when my husband is going to work, he would have to take baby out of the cot and put her on our bed, so that it's easy for me to lift her up and put her back on the bed, because the cot was a bit deep. So for me to bend and put her in or lift her was a challenge. So again, that was one challenge that we had to overcome as well. So during the postpartum, literally you will lose your privacy a lot, and I think that is one of the reasons why we wanted to do everything by ourselves, because obviously my mom is not in the UK. I don't have family that I'm very close with who can come. So normally the women feel more comfortable if it's their mom or if it's their family member that comes around, or their siblings. They've been around you, so it's not a big deal if they see your nakedness. But being around complete somebody who you've never lived with, or it's, you know, that kind of thing, was uncomfortable. And also during the postpartum, you can be very vulnerable, because obviously if you are carrying the catheter around, you can't dress properly. So it's very easy for, if there is anybody around you, it's very easy for them to see your privacy. They see you at your worst states. You know, they see you when you are not well dressed, when you are almost naked. And then when I came home as well, I was bleeding. Yeah, I was still bleeding. It's like a menses. When it comes to the bleeding after delivery, each person is different. So for instance, I bled for 5 days after the delivery, but it was heavy. It's not like my normal menstrual period. Some people also bleed for longer. Okay, so your case might be different from another person's case. Apart from that, you can also bleed as the weeks progresses. It might not be like a continuous flow, but once in a while. So what I notice with me is that anytime I do more work than I'm supposed to do, I'll bleed. So for instance, if I walk for about 30 minutes or 1 hour continuously, that day I'm going to bleed. Or if I stand for longer to cook, anything I do which is heavy, yeah, I start bleeding. So one of the things that we tried to do was for me not to do a lot of work. And anytime I start bleeding, my husband is like, why did you have to do this? Why did you have to do that? Because obviously I was overworking myself. And I was also conscious of the fact that I didn't want him to get too tired, because me not doing the normal stuff that I have to do means that he has to take on more work, and which is how it will be, especially for a couple who who want to have their privacy and do things by themselves, the man at some point is going to be doing most of the work. Okay, but being a wise wife and a considerate wife who wants to be sensitive to the whole situation, I couldn't just fold my arms and watch my husband do everything. So there are days that I had to push and cook, and when I cook a lot of stuff so that it will last longer. The bleeding was on and off depending on how much work that I was doing each day. But I think after the 6 weeks or 8 weeks, then everything completely stopped. In terms of what to use to control the bleeding, your normal menstrual pad might not work. It will not work, especially if it's a heavy flow. There are maternity pads. This is one of them. And again, depending on your level of flow, this might also not work. Luckily for me, my husband discovered this. Yeah, it's called Tina, and it's normally what people who have incontinence, yeah, that's what they use, because it's different. It's heavier than the normal, and it's normal, and it's pants. It's actually pants. Okay, so my husband discovered this when I ran out of this. He went to the shop to buy one for me, and then he was told to get this. The person that he met recommended this one. So when he came, I was like, oh, you bought the wrong one. Until I opened it, and when I used it, I realized, oh, actually, I think this is better than this. Okay, this is also very comfortable because it's like a pant. It's normal pants. Yeah, it's normal pants, and the way they've insulated it, it's so good. See, the insulation is very good. Okay, so you wear it as a normal pant. They've got different sizes. This is medium. This is medium. If you're a small size, you go for a small or large. I think they probably would have extra large as well. Okay, so it works for everyone. And because it's made for people who have incontinence, it means that it's good enough to hold however heavy your flow is. Okay, so it's also helpful, especially if you came home with your catheter. Okay, so if you had your catheter on, you can easily put the hanging bit in there to hold it in place. Okay, so this was really ideal for me. Yeah, so for those of you who probably are bleeding very heavily at the moment, so if you just had a baby or you are pregnant, yeah, get one of these. It's not too expensive, and it's got about 12 in there, so get one of them by the side, yeah, just in case. I hope it helps. By the grace of God, with the support I had from my husband and the tenacity that we built, because we had decided that we were going to do this by ourselves, so it was easy for us to push through. I had people offering help. It was interesting, even people I never thought would offer to come and help, offered, oh, can I come around and help? And we said, oh, thank you very much, but we are fine. So we declined a lot of offers. It was a challenge. It was difficult, but we did it because we wanted our peace of mind. We wanted our privacy. We wanted to be able to give our children the maximum attention, because sometimes when you have people come in, they can take over so many things, and you probably will not even have that bonding with your child from the beginning. So we didn't want that. If that is what you are doing and it works for you, that's fair enough. Okay, but you just have to know that as a woman, you're going to lose a lot of your privacy. So if it's not somebody you are very comfortable with, if it's not somebody you've lived with before, and you don't mind them seeing your nakedness, then you can let them come in. So actually, I started feeling much better from the 3rd week, because at this point, the catheter was off. I had stopped bleeding as well. I've had my first poo-poo. I'm able to wee-wee properly. And yeah, so life was beginning to come back gradually. But of course, the cesarean section pain and the feeling of being out of balance, that one took months. This is why I think the midwives always recommend that the first 4 to 6 weeks, don't do anything heavy, don't lift anything heavy, because you may not have that physical strength to do it. So it's good to be safe. Make sure that you are not lifting heavy things, especially things that are heavier than the baby. Every woman is different. There are some people who recover early, others take time to recover. But most people, within the first 6 weeks, they would have been feeling very good in their body, especially if it was a natural birth and there were no complications. The recovery process doesn't take too long as compared to cesarean section. One of the things that was a big shock to our system was the night shift. So when we came home, obviously it's the first time we are having a little one with us, and in the first few weeks they literally eat every 30 minutes to 1 hour. So my daughter was eating every 30 minutes to 1 hour, or maximum 2 hours she has to eat. So you can imagine the night we had to feed her often. We had to wake up every 1 to 2 hours to feed her, every 1 to 2 hours to feed her. And because our body is not used to going to bed and waking up and going to bed and waking up, it was a really big thing for us. You know, my eyes were red, my husband's eyes were red. We tried to do the night shift, but at the initial stages, because of the cesarean section pain and the fact that I was out of balance, getting out of the bed was difficult. So my husband has to lie by the cot. He was lying closer to the cot. So when baby wakes up in the night, he will be the one, picking baby, and then I will feed baby, or he will feed baby. So sometimes I will sleep, he will feed the baby, and then sometimes he will just pick the baby, give the baby to me, and then he will go back to bed. But trust me, you can't really sleep, even though you are lying down trying to catch some sleep. Once the baby is awake, everybody's awake. So the baby literally controls your schedule. If they are sleeping, you have to go and find a way to sleep. If they are awake, you know that your life is just continuing. You have to just find something to do whilst taking care of them as well. I think we started getting used to the night shifts after 3 weeks as well. So from the 4th week, baby started sleeping a little bit longer, about 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, and with our daughter, by the time she was about 6 months, she could sleep for like 7 hours. So every child is different. Some children, even when they are 1 year, they will still be waking up in the night to eat. Yeah, so everybody's different. The second pregnancy was much easier. It was a planned cesarean section. We were more in control of what was happening. And I think this cesarean session was also much better. The person who did it, thank God, one of the prayer we always prayed was God to give us the right nurses, doctors, and midwives around us. So even the surgeon, I believe we had a good surgeon, because the cesarean session was done well. So I was not out of balance after the second cesarean. I didn't feel out of balance. Everything was fine. The only thing is I still couldn't poo-poo. I still couldn't wee-wee. So I came back home with the catheter for the second time. And then when the 7 days was up and I had to go to the hospital to take out the catheter, I had infection. So my urine was very yellowish. I knew there was something wrong because the urine was very yellowish. So when I got there and they tested my urine, they said, oh, you've got infection. So they had to put me on antibiotics for a week. And then that also cleared. Yeah, so postpartum is massive. There's a lot that you go through during that first 3 months, trying to recover, trying to get used to the baby, doing all those night shifts and everything that concerns the home, especially when everybody leaves. There are some people who receive help, but the help is just for 2 weeks or 1 month, or 3 months, and they will leave. Unless, of course, if you have both agreed to bring somebody in to come and live with you on a long-term basis, then you probably might feel they help. But I know people who had a lot of help, and still, anytime you speak with them, they're like, I'm so tired, I'm so tired, I'm so tired. Yeah, and they wonder how we managed to do it on our own. So it's all about the mindset. If you want to do it, if both of you make up your mind and you are 100% sure that you can give that support, then why not do what will work for you? So yeah, so that's the little experience I had with my postpartum, and I hope that if you are pregnant now, or you are single, you're thinking of your future pregnancy, or you are getting ready to start the journey of pregnancy, I've given you some information to help you to prepare towards your postpartum. Remember, anytime you watch my videos, you have to do these things on it. Click on the like button, leave a comment of what you learned, what you like about the video, or even let us know where you're watching from. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and most importantly, share with somebody. Share it with your friends on WhatsApp, on Facebook. Let somebody also learn from what you have benefited in this video. My next video probably is going to be about a cesarean section and natural birth, which one is better. And I'm going to be doing a survey from different women who are in my ministry, or even my friends who have had babies. I'll get their thoughts on what the experience was when they had their own children, whether through cesarean section or natural birth. And then that can help you to make an informed decision whether you want to go through cesarean section or natural birth. God bless you. I'll see you in my next video. Bye from here. Bye.